Welcome back to the Aloha EQ or Emotional Intelligence podcast. Today's episode is not just a story, it's a legacy. It's about sacrifice, the kind that doesn't shout for attention, but quietly shapes lives, families, and even nations. I want to tell you about a boy born in Tonga, surrounded by the rhythm of the ocean, the warmth of family, and the curiosity that would one day carry him across the world. He loved the beach. He loved to swim. He was always taking things apart, trying to understand how they work, how they moved, how they flew. And maybe, just maybe, his story really began in the skies. As a young child, he spent time with his grandfather, my father, Robert Anderson, who had served in the Air Corps during World War II. After the war, his grandfather didn't stop flying. He would take us up in small planes, soaring above Utah Valley, even doing loop-de-loops that made your stomach drop and your heart race. He built small remote planes, too, and little Robert would watch in awe. That fascination, the wonder of flight, of possibility, took root early, and it never left him. Robert James Kongaika grew up into a young man who didn't just dream, he prepared. He studied hard with an incredible ability to understand and remember what he read almost instantly. He graduated from BYU, Hawaii, and the University of Hawaii with a degree in political science, and then went on to earn not one, but two master's degrees, one in public administration and another in defense and strategic studies. But education was just the beginning. At a time in life when many are chasing comfort, accumulation, and recognition, Robert chose something different. He chose service. He entered basic training in San Antonio, Texas, and began a journey that would span 30 years in the United States Air Force. 30 years. Think about that for a moment. 30 years of moving, 30 years of adapting, 30 years of saying goodbye and starting over again. Japan, Egypt, India, Italy, Arizona, Florida, Afghanistan, Korea, and right here in Utah at Hill Air Force Base, where his journey both began and ended. 13 different assignments, each one asking something new of him, each one demanding resilience. But here's what I want every young person listening to understand. This story is not just about rank or achievement. Yes, he rose from second lieutenant in 2000 to first lieutenant, to captain, to major, to lieutenant colonel, and finally, colonel in 2021. But that's not the heart of the story. The heart of the story is what it cost. Because behind every uniform is a family who serves too. His wife, Abigail, steady, faithful, and strong, stood beside him through it all, through the long months apart, through the uncertainty, through the quiet moments when strength was not optional, it was necessary. His 4 children, they learned a different kind of childhood. Every 2 years, a new home, a new school, new friends, and the quiet heartbreak of leaving those friends behind again and again. They didn't just grow up. They adapted. They sacrificed. And as parents, we watched, not always close by, but always connected as his service gave us opportunities we never imagined. We visited them in places we had only dreamed of: Hawaii, Texas, Egypt, Italy, India. We saw the world through the life he chose to live. And through it all, one thing remained constant: family. Robert has always loved his siblings, Liana, Joel, and Jacob, and we have always been a close and supportive family. No matter the distance, that bond never broke. Now let me speak directly to the young people listening. We live in a world that tells you to chase more money, more things, more recognition. But real fulfillment, the kind that lasts, often comes from something very different. It comes from sacrifice, not the kind that leaves you empty, but the kind that fills your life with meaning, the kind that asks, what am I willing to give, instead of, what can I get? Robert's life teaches us that sacrifice is not a loss. It's a choice to stand for something bigger than yourself, a choice to serve, a choice to endure. And yes, sacrifice is never easy. It stretches you, it humbles you, it asks you to keep going when comfort would tell you to stop. But it also builds something in you that nothing else can: character, strength, purpose. Today, as a family, we are so proud of him, not just for the rank he achieved, but for the life he lived, a life of unwavering commitment, a life of quiet courage, a life that reminds us that the greatest impact we can have is not in what we accumulate, but in what we are willing to give. To my son, Colonel Robert James Kongaika, thank you for your service, for your sacrifice, for the example you have set for your children, for our family, and for every young person who hears this story today. And to those listening, may you have the courage to choose a life that matters, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because that's where true greatness lives. Like Elton John's sacrifice reminds us, real love is often quiet and costly. It is the kind of devotion that keeps showing up through distance, fatigue, uncertainty, and time. That is the love my son Robert knew from his wife Abigail, and the love his children and our family carried with him through years of service. It was not glamorous. It was not easy, but it was faithful. And maybe that is the deepest lesson for our teens today. A meaningful life is not built by collecting more, but by loving well, giving freely, and standing firm when sacrifice is required. This is an episode of the Aloha EQ, or Emotional Intelligence podcast. I'm your host, Ruth Konaika, and thanks for listening.